This is Julian Sanchoff, and this is my week 5 Week5 final submission. Um, so here is the tool, and so this is the same thing as the pretty much the MVP, and it's the fleet graph where it watches the project workspace, and it's the AI tool that essentially decides what's drifting, and it brings you in with the next action already drafted. And then if anything changed within ship, you would get a message on your behalf, and then it's waiting for human approval. So just to work through, to remind us of everything that we went through. First of all, here's the new bot down below, which we'll get into in a second now. So initially for the MVP, I shipped a Python line graph agent that runs 24/7 on Railway. And it had the proactive mode, which is the heartbeat that ran every 2.5 minutes with live detections. And there were 5 separate detectors. They were the missing cadence, stalled issues, sprint slippage, and over allocation, as well as the fifth one, which was the detector for blockers and the stand-up text. Um, on top of that, um, I ran it through OpenRouter, and I'm just using a Cloud Sonnet 4.46 model. And then to keep the costs honest, the cheap deterministic scan happens without the LLM. So it only really it only really calls the OpenRouter API when there's a new problem that's where AI reasoning is necessary. And then after the MVP, I did a full audit of the code and the live cost data, and shipped 6 product and cost enhancements in one batch. So I guess I can get into them. The first one was a cooldown ledger. Then I had the Anthropic prompt caching. So that was for the second call. We had about 38 seconds. So basically, it was literally just to save cost was the prompt caching. And then lastly, third, I had the hook. So ship pings the agent on important writes so that it reacts in seconds instead of waiting for the next pulse, which was nice just to make it work even faster. And I also had the a near instant change hook, um, which is also nice, and daily project digest, and then the configurable quiet hours, um, similar to something like Slack. So what I changed most recently, so after all that, and I can go through here and just show off what we have again. So these are like just the info daily digests. Again, there's only so many in here because I just haven't cleared it out. I've kind of just let it stack up. But like you can just dismiss these, or I can ask questions about it, and then it takes me to chat. And then on top of the daily digest, we have the issues. Excuse me. For example, here's what one of them would look like. OAuth integration block. Then here's the description. Here's the suggested action. You can either confirm, snooze, dismiss, or you can ask more questions about it. And yeah, anytime you have a chat, you can go here into the history, and then you can ask it about. So let's say I say test. I'll come back to that in a second. Anyway, so the biggest changes that I made for the final implementation were the specific feedback was that I got to use case number 4, so the block detection, since it had no public langsmith trace, because the seed workspace had no blocker text in any standup, then the note said to either seed 1 to trigger a real run or label it as unexpected, like no finding case, so that the gap is actually intentional. So I went with the seeding call. And while I was in there, I figured I'd run a playwright UX audit as well, just to make sure that there's no like weird, UX issues or inefficiencies. So I deployed that at the same time. And the agent told me that it couldn't actually find a document that was visible on the screen, and that kind of sent me into like this loophole. Then I found out that it was actually a deeper bug. So the ship's list documents endpoint deliberately left out the content field. which was like a normal bandwidth optimization, but then the blocker detector was reading content directly off that list response. So from there, I created unit tests, and all those passed because they fed the detector stand-up data with content directly. Um, and and yeah, so that's where Fleetgraph pretty much sits today. I made it more cost aware. It's got the human in the loop, so the human gated project agent. It's proactive and on demand. It's built and improved and then audited and hardened. And yeah, now it's live and deployed. And yeah, everything should be there. Thank you.